Ladies and gentlemen, we will start with the Burkinabe press. The first speaker, introduce yourself by first and last name and ask your question. My question is about colonialism. Burkina Faso is at odds with former partners. What is Russia's offer of cooperation so as not to disenchant the country in its quest for sovereignty? From the onset, these relations are endowed, and today, I followed the changes that have happened in Burkina Faso since Mr. Ibrahim Traore took power in this country. I think that our relations are developing, and the dynamics of development of these relationships is positive every day. And moreover, this was confirmed by President Traore this morning. We know that during the last century, there was political decolonization, but still there was no process of economic decolonization, and ultimately neo-colonial practices still remain. Our relations since President Traore took power have developed well, are going well, and moreover our relations have never had a colonial character. We have cooperation in many fields: the health field, the education field, the economy, the military field, and technical field. And these relationships are based on mutual respect, which can be undertaken to effectively implement the agreements that were reached by the two presidents. Thank you very much. We now welcome our friends from the Russian press for their questions. Thank you very much, Antoine Clairao from the RT channel in French. First of all, thank you for your welcome. Thank you to the Burkinabe authorities for their welcome. I had the chance a year ago to interview the president of the transition, Ibrahim Traore, on the occasion of the Russia-Africa Forum, and on this occasion, he had a lot of expectations in the cooperation between Russia and Burkina Faso. The impression is that during the whole year that has passed, there have already been many things that have come true. So I would like to know what concretely was achieved during this past year, and then what are your expectations regarding the future of this cooperation between Russia and Burkina Faso? Since the last forum in St. Petersburg, our two heads of state have defined priorities which are driven by the necessity and the need to strengthen cooperation between Russia and Burkina Faso. And if you have followed the logic since that date, strong actions have continued to take place, and as they say, the best evidence of dynamic cooperation is seen in facts. And that's why just after St. Petersburg, we attended the opening of the Russian embassy here in Ouagadougou, which was in the past covered by the Russian embassy based in Abidjan. We also witnessed the very recently appointment of a resident ambassador in Ouagadougou, which therefore reinforces the logic of the momentum which has been defined since St. Petersburg. Beyond that, as you know, we have cooperation which has taken off again since this last summit in various areas. You know that in terms of security, our two countries have taken enormous steps, and we had an interesting working session yesterday with Minister Lavrov, during which we agreed on the need to accelerate the diversification of commercial exchanges, and also the expansion of trade volumes, to be in conformity with the orientations which were given by the heads of state. You followed the minister's testimony on the subject of professional training and university training, for which Russia has defined a certain number of scholarship quotas, which will have to evolve in the agricultural field. There are also activities which are carried out with assistance in terms of training, logistical support, and also agricultural yields. So, I would say that from St. Petersburg to this date today, and that comes through the visit of Minister Lavrov, a visit which itself is a testimony to the commitment of the two countries to ensure that our cooperation can slip into a level of model cooperation. I would say that we are at a level of satisfaction but which promises a better future as part of the promotion of friendship between our two countries. I don't know if it's the exchanges of delegations that have continued to grow since this summit, and as you know, our two countries regularly exchange delegations in different sectors, and at this very moment, I can assure you that the Minister of Energy and Mines is in Russia to continue exchanges in the energy field. The Minister of Transport is also there in the framework of the Economic Forum in St. Petersburg. So, I would say that these are indications which confirm our position and say that cooperation between Russia and Burkina Faso has really taken off. Naturally, in the economic and commercial field, there are important laws still to be passed, and we believe that through contacts, we will be able to reach a level which corresponds to the wishes of the heads of state, to see the diversification of trade and also the volume of trades. And yesterday, during our working session, we requested that consular services be set up very soon at the level of the Russian embassy to facilitate delegation exchanges. And which defines a set of sectors and which will allow us to put in place a more effective instrument for consolidating sectoral agreements, and also for monitoring the actions which will be implemented within the framework of our cooperation. Thank you very much for the second question from the press of Russia. We know that Burkina Faso is in a war, with President Captain Ibrahim Traore as master on board. Is this vision in line with that of Moscow? And precisely in this war, the Burkinabe populations are counting on Russia. Are the people of Burkina Faso right to count on the Russian Federation? They are indeed right to count on Russia, yes. Regarding the support, you already have our support. Yes, it's great. We are in close cooperation, particularly in the military field and the military technical field. You know, the Deputy Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, Mr. Yevkorov, is in contact with his counterparts. He was here yesterday to discuss a number of practical measures that we should undertake. We also have a cooperation in the field of training of military specialists and specialists of law enforcement bodies, security order forces, and I think we will also increase the number of instructors who work here and who help you train your specialists. These activities which are undertaken, thanks to this support, the centers of terrorism which remain on the territory of Burkina Faso will be eliminated. The second question from Russia addressed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Burkina. According to some American media, Russia is increasing its presence in Africa, which is contributing to the decrease in American influence here. Is Russia really planning to push America from the African continent? You know, I think that the Americans still believe themselves to be all-powerful. They think that everything is permitted to them, and that explains the position they have adopted towards countries of Asia, Latin America, and even certain countries of Europe. It dictates to them how they must act in many areas, in the economic field and in the political field too. So, the United States explains to them how they have to fight against certain competitors. In fact, unlike the United States, which adopts a certain division, either you are with us or you are against us, we do not have such divisions in our relations with African countries, and our relations are based on common interest, on common understanding and on parity. It seems that the Americans are still playing a zero-sum game. This is not the game that is based on the principles of parity. It is still engaging in the practices of neocolonialism, with the majority and even with the countries that represent the overall majority. And therefore I think that for them, it is very difficult to find relationships in this sense that are based on agreements. Press question for Burkina Faso. My name is Abubakar, journalist of a newspaper called The Observer. I will speak on the energy field, precisely. When can we hope for a nuclear power plant in Burkina, when we know that there was a signature in November 2023? The question addressed to whom? It goes to the Russian minister. When can we hope? Yes, the Energy and Mines Minister of Burkina Faso traveled as part of a representative delegation to St. Petersburg to participate in the St. Petersburg Forum, and I think that as part of this visit, he will meet representatives of the Russian agency called Rosatom, and I think they can discuss the possibility or the possible development of the plant in the future. It should be mentioned that with regard to the development of nuclear energy, the Russian Federation remains the leader in this area. And not only can we offer you our products, we are able to offer you the technologies, to train specialists in this technical field. The Russian press, your third question. Addressed to the Burkinabe minister, you have already said that your ministers of transport and energy, the two ministers of transport and energy traveled to participate in the economic forum in St. Petersburg. What are your expectations of their participation and what agreements may be reached during this forum? And my second question, if you allow the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs briefly, this is the first visit you are making to Burkina Faso. What are your impressions of the country, of the Burkinabe people, and do you feel here as at home? Very well. To answer the question addressed to Burkina, I would say that the nuclear issue has long been presented to our countries as being out of reach. Nuclear energy for a long time, as we were told, was an energy which was mainly intended for developed countries. I think that Russia played a big role in breaking this approach and this view, and therefore allowing accessibility to our country. The presence of our two ministers in St. Petersburg is a testimony which confirms that there is a process which is underway, and which began when President Traore took the resolution to develop nuclear energy as a priority in Burkina Faso. There have been many steps taken, and I can tell you that on both sides, including at the level of the International Energy Agency in Vienna, and at the level of Moscow, there are already big steps that have been taken at the level of institutional arrangements, at the level of administrative arrangements, and we are still working on defining the technical outlines of infrastructure which we hope will provide a definitive solution to the problem we are experiencing. So, I would say that the Minister of Transport and the Minister of Energy, their presence in St. Petersburg, is to further give concrete content to this decision. For me, this is the place of this openness that Russia has made, and as the Minister said, Russia is a leader in the field of civil nuclear power, and Russia has allowed countries like Burkina Faso, which were seeing this energy from afar, to be able to approach it, and realize that it is within the reach of our countries. When we know that it is we who produce, let's say, the resource to produce this energy, and that it has remained so far from us throughout this year, all these years. So it was the place for me to salute this momentum and this openness, this opportunity which was made by Russia. Thanks. Regarding your question about my impressions, of course they are positive impressions. and I find this country very beautiful. I see that this country is developing, and therefore, in my opinion, I was able to see the faces of the Burkinabe people, who are obviously more friendly faces, and I think it is the people who chose freedom, and who chose to be master of their own fate, to take the destiny in their hands, and that is what I wish to everyone. Thank you so much. And that's the end of this press briefing. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you for coming, and see you very soon.